Well, guys, it's happened again. The management team at Amazon have woken up this week. They've said, do you know what? Amazon sellers have it far too easy. Let's cause some drama and some problems. And they have posted an announcement on the Amazon website, basically reiterating the need for official GS1 barcodes. And the announcement basically says if you don't have an official GS1 barcode that is associated with your company, then your listing is going to be pulled down and removed. So in this video, we're going to be running through the announcement in detail. We're going to be talking about what it means, and we are going to be running through solutions. What can you do? Remember, on this channel, we are all about positivity and finding solutions to problems. So if that's the sort of thing that you're after, in addition to anything to do with Amazon FBA, then please remember to subscribe. So here is the announcement that was posted on the 9th of April, which is yesterday at the time of filming. And you can see it says here, reminder, providing product IDs or GTINs for listings. So that's basically a UPC barcode if you're in the US, or an EAN barcode if you are in Europe and the UK. So whilst nothing in this announcement is actually new, it's just Amazon reiterating an existing policy, it's more the fact that they've just said reminder and they've decided to publish this again that makes it a bit scary. So let's see what it actually says. So it's saying for most product categories, you are required to provide a unique product identifier or a barcode in order to create new listings. And then it's saying we ask that you take immediate action to provide the requested information or your listings will be removed. And what they're basically saying is you need to provide a valid barcode. And this is the kind of key information that makes it a bit scary, if you will. It says we recommend obtaining your GTINs directly from GS1 and not from other third parties selling licenses to ensure that the appropriate information is reflected in the GS1 database. So what they're saying there is that the barcode information, when you look it up on the GS1 database, must match the information that you are putting on your listing, i.e. the brand name and your company name as the owner. Now, the reason that this is a little concerning is because historically GS1 barcodes have been really expensive. It works in like a licensing arrangement where you pay a fixed fee every single year that, to put it bluntly, is extortionate. If you're in the US, it's $250 per year for up to 1,000 barcodes, I believe, when like new sellers only really need one. If you're in the UK, it was £120 plus VAT, again for 1,000 barcodes, but as a new seller, you only need one. So historically, what's happened is people that have been interested in selling with Amazon have been purchasing their barcodes from sites like Barcodes Mania, Nationwide Barcodes, and eBay for much cheaper than this. You can get barcodes for as little as $5, even cheaper if you're willing to buy in bulk. And that is what a lot of people, including myself, have done in the past. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this policy here isn't actually new. Amazon have always said that your barcodes must be purchased from GS1. Okay, they must be official barcodes. Now, technically, these barcodes that we've been buying from Barcodes Mania, eBay, etc., they are still official GS1 barcodes. They're not fake numbers, but the issue is that those barcodes have been previously used by other companies and other brands. So now, if Amazon decides to look up these barcode numbers from these unofficial sources, then the name and the brand name and the company name is not going to match. So this is why this announcement here is a little concerning, because what Amazon is saying is the information must now match. And they're saying if it doesn't, then your listing is going to be at risk of being pulled and you're not going to be able to offer that ASIN, that listing for sale anymore. So that is kind of this announcement here summarized. They're saying there are some cases where you are going to be allowed to use a barcode that doesn't have your company name and brand name on it. But if you want to be able to do that, then you need to provide like an authorization letter from the official brand rights owner or the manufacturer. And you can see here the information that they want. They basically want the name and address that they'll find if they look up the barcode number on GS1. They want the seller's physical address. They want the GS1 certificate. they're basically giving you a load of hoops to jump through, which you probably are not going to be able to get if you are using a barcode from Barcodes Mania and eBay, etc. So that is where the problem basically comes in. So what does this mean for those of you that have used unofficial barcodes for your listings? Well, the good news is that I am in the same boat as you guys. When I very first started selling on Amazon, I used Barcodes Mania initially before upgrading to GS1 about a year later. So I do still actually have a couple of listings that use Barcodes Mania barcodes. Now, in this announcement here, it says that you can basically check out the Fix Your Products page to see if there are any problems. So it says here, products that are listed in the At Risk Listings tab on your Fix Your Products page will be removed if the requested information, which is going to be basically a letter from the rights owner of the barcodes that you're using, is not provided by the due date. Okay, so I do have 2 listings still running at the moment that use Barcodes Mania barcodes, unofficial barcodes. But if we click into the Fix Your Products link, you can see that I don't actually have any at-risk listings. I've got one here that says potential duplicates, which is a separate matter, but nothing to do with invalid product identifier or anything like that. So the question is this announcement here just a bit of scare tactics to try and get sellers to use official barcodes moving forwards? Or is the Amazon bot still kind of searching and crawling Amazon to find barcodes that aren't necessarily valid? Now, your guess here is as good as mine, but I would say my advice is if you are an existing seller, if you've used these unofficial barcodes historically and you don't see any problems in the Fix Your Product tab, then I would do nothing personally. And the reason that I say that is that I think if you try and contact seller support, it's just going to draw unnecessary attention to your listing, where an actual real life human, if we can say if seller support are humans, is going to look at your listing and see that it doesn't match and then possibly flag it. Now, from what I have seen in the Facebook groups that I manage in my own student group, I do have a student that said previously they have messaged seller support and said, can I change the product identifier to an official one? I used the wrong one. And seller support basically said, no, that's not possible. You need to create a new listing. So in my view, it therefore makes sense to do nothing for the time being. If you do have an issue flagged in the Fix Your Product like area of Seller Central, then obviously you should do something, whatever the recommended actions are, if you can. But if not, I would honestly leave it. I think that this announcement here is more scare tactics, and it's more Amazon saying from now on everyone needs to use official barcodes, and they've got the processes in place to be able to check if those barcode details match what you are entering on Amazon versus the GS1 database. So I think they've got that covered. I think for them to start removing listings historically that don't use official barcodes is going to be an absolute disaster. If you think about it, there are probably millions of listings out there that have barcodes that don't match, and it would just result in an absolute catastrophe with listings going down and seller support getting overloaded, etc., etc. So that is just my kind of uninformed opinion from the research that I've done in the forums, on the groups, speaking to people, etc. So that is what I would say. Now, that's my advice if you are an existing seller and you've got listings that are running already. Now, if you are an existing seller and you are looking to launch new products, then my advice is switch to official GS1 barcodes. And I think it will save you a massive headache going forwards. You will hopefully be able to avoid a ton of errors by doing this. And it may seem quite expensive, but luckily GS1 have actually come out with new packages recently. Maybe they have spoken with Amazon and they've kind of said, we can, if you enforce this new policy, then we'll reduce our costs. Who knows? But here are the options. So if you are in the US and you want a UPC barcode, you can now get just one from GS1 for $30. Now, I don't really see any reason why, if you are in the UK, Europe, you can't buy a UPC barcode for $30, which is a one-off cost, and then put it into the product identifier field when creating your listing and select it as UPC. I don't really see why you can't do that. Alternatively, from my understanding of barcodes, the difference between a UPC number and an EAN number is simply an EAN number is 1 digit extra, and that extra digit is normally a 0. So that is something that you can try. I have actually asked a student to do that historically, and it worked for them. But I would kind of like to get a few more people to do that in order to be able to say conclusively that that works. So that is one option for you. Go to GS1, and that's definitely an option to do if you are in the US. Another option is to do a 10 barcodes for £60 deal with GS1. So it's £6 a barcode, which I think is fairly reasonable, and you've got 10 barcodes to use. And that is a much better deal than that 120 annual fee for 1,000 barcodes that you're probably not going to use. So I will put a link for that in the description box below. So that is 10 barcodes for £60, and that is sourced again directly with GS1. Now, if you are somebody that has created your listing already, but you haven't actually sent your stock into Amazon yet, then the decision of what you do is obviously up to you. But I would say it would probably be more in your interest to create a new listing with an official GS1 barcode, just to minimize any risk involved. Like if you haven't even started selling yet, if you haven't got any reviews or a page ranking position, then you might as well take the easy option and migrate to a GS1 barcode. And what does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to have to create a new listing. You'll have to put in your new EAN or UPC barcode, and you will get a new FN SKU barcode from Amazon. So the FN SKU barcode is basically a barcode that is provided by Amazon. It's unique to Amazon, and it allows them to identify what your product is. So by creating a new listing, you will get a new FN SKU barcode, and that will have to go on your product packaging. So if your supplier has already labeled up your products with the old barcode, then unfortunately you're going to have to ask them to relabel for you. Hopefully they'll do it for free. If not, it'll be very, very cheap. I mean, Amazon charge 15 pence or 20 cents to do it themselves. So use that as a benchmark for how much your supplier should charge you. So that is another option. The final option could be to just provide no barcode at all. And you might be thinking, what? Well, you can actually get something known as a GTIN exemption, which is where you say to Amazon, my product is private label and it doesn't have its own barcode, and it doesn't need to either. We're only intending on selling with Amazon, and that's it. So that process I will also put a link for in the description below. But that process basically is where you get an exemption for an entire category. So you provide images of your product to Amazon that show the branding, and you effectively say what I've just said to you there, it's private label. You say the category that you're looking to sell in, and then Amazon will review it. They will give you a GTIN exemption, and then you don't have to put anything into the product identifier box when you are looking to create a listing. Now, the downside with that is if you do want to scale, if you want to grow and migrate off Amazon, then it's going to be a bit more challenging because your product isn't going to have a barcode. And apparently, again, from the bit of research that I've done, migrating from a GTIN listing to one that does have a barcode can cause a few issues. But I would say, that's not really something should be a massive consideration for you, because from all the students that I have that have gone the GTIN exemption route, they have never had any of those problems. That's just what I've seen on the Amazon seller forums. So to conclude this video and summarize the announcement, there's nothing actually new that Amazon have said here. They're kind of just stomping their feet a bit and scaring the life out of us sellers by saying, reminder, you need to provide official GS1 barcodes that are linked to your company, your brand name, and if you don't, then your listing is going to be pulled. Whether they do that or not, it remains to be seen. But my advice is, if you are an existing seller that has used unofficial barcodes, don't do anything. Just keep your eye on the fix your products section of Seller Central and see what happens, what it says. As I mentioned earlier, I've got unofficial barcodes and nothing's appeared for me yet, but I will be keeping my eye on it. And then my advice is, guys, if you are looking to launch new products, if you are a brand new seller that's created your listing already, I would look to either go the official route, get your GS1 barcodes using the links that I'm going to put in the description box below, which are a lot more reasonable than they used to be. or alternatively go for the GTIN exemption route. So the choice is up to you. If you have any questions about this, concerns, or you want to let me know if you face problems, do post about it in the comment section below. And that is it for this week, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you found value in it. And please, if you have, give me a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.